There we go. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Red Hour, a show I do twice a week where I throw a little chaos into Star Trek by reviewing a random episode. And today's episode is from Voyager, Season 5, Episode 24, Relativity. And it begins with, we see the shipyard, Utopia Planitia on Mars. It's not on Mars, it's orbiting Mars. And several ships are being constructed. And then we see Voyager is under construction, and we see a younger version of Janeway from earlier. We see a younger version of Janeway beam aboard, and it's apparently before Voyager has launched. And I see that DJ Playdice has arrived. Hello. And an admiral greets her. And she's taking a tour of the ship. So he's showing her around the ship to like different areas of the ship, like the bridge, her ready room, the conference room. We'll get to the conference room later, but just the engineering. She sits in her chair. He takes her to her ready room. She's asking about Tuvok, if there was any word from Tuvok, because at this point in time he's with the Marquis. Almost said Kazon. The Kazon are mentioned in this episode, but we don't see them. And she bumps into an ensign and says, "Excuse me, ensign," and the ensign turns away real quickly, and it is 7 of 9. And she doesn't have her ocular implant. So something's weird. And that's the teaser. So, like I said, she's still walking around with this admiral. She goes, and 7 is in main engineering. She runs into the original main engineer guy, and he's talking about that he introduces himself, and she introduces herself as, what is she? I wrote it down. Anna Jameson, I think. And she gives her serial number, rank, very efficiently. And then he says, "Well, I hope to see you around in the mess hall some point," and she says that he won't see her around. She's on temporary assignment, and there are temporal distortions. She goes into a Jeffries tube and is looking at a device. Jenna Jameson? No, I wish. And there is the engineer guy detects some kind of chronoton flux. So we get I think there's 2 some kind ofs in here. And it's on deck 4, so Janeway says to seal off deck 4, and 7 is talking to someone that, like, basically through her earpiece or whatever, or comm badge or whatever, but we don't see who it is. So she realizes that they've detected her, so they beam her out of the ship, and we see Braxton, which we've seen before, and they come into, or Janeway comes into the Jeffries tube, and she has a tricorder trying to find where these chronoton flux is coming from, and she disappears. She finds nothing. Seven is beamed out, and then Seven collapses onto the transporter pad on the Relativity, which is the people in the future that deal with like different cleaning up timelines and stuff like that. And she's dead. So there's a lieutenant with Braxton, and they're discussing like grabbing her again, because each time you do this, it can cause problems. So then we see on Voyager, in their regular timeline, she's being inspected by the doctor, and she's complaining about feeling dizzy, and thinks that it is some rare disease that it's not, and the doctor assures her that it's just a mild case of sensory aphasia. So then the doctor is called to report to sick bay, and says, do not consult on the database, call me next time, because she's basically done her own version of when you get sick or something, and you research WebMD, and WebMD usually shows you like the worst thing that it could be, and so you get paranoid and start thinking it's that thing, and then it turns out it's not. It's a more common thing. That's never happened to me though. I've fallen into that trap a couple of times, and then I realized, just go to the doctor. Just go to the doctor. So this is the Starfleet equivalent of that, or Star Trek equivalent of that, which is funny because that's even before WebMD was a thing. So I'm sure people were doing something similar, at that time. So we see Seven walking down the hall, and Tom Paris is walking down the hall, and he's got a ping pong paddle and is bouncing the ping pong up and down, basically trying to keep his hand-eye coordination in. She asks him about it, what he's doing, and he says that there's a ping pong tournament later on tonight, and that he needs a partner because the partner that he had got sick and has a space sickness, which is basically seasickness but in space. So you get nausea and you feel dizzy, and so she's talking to him about, or he's talking to her about that, and asks if she wanted to join him, and she initially refuses, but then he appeals to her vanity because he says something about beating B'Elanna. And Michelle Fairy Tales is here, which of course she wants to beat B'Elanna because they have a friendly rivalry. Sometimes it gets out of hand from time to time. So she initially says no, but then he says that, and then she says she'll consider it, but then he says that the tournament is tonight, he needs an answer now, and so she agrees. So then we see Janeway in sickbay, and she has a bit of the same space sickness, this dizziness and nausea. Then we see the tournament going on in mess hall, and they're playing. So it's Tom and Seven, and Harry and B'Elanna, and they're playing against each other. Tom goes to make a big move, and the ball freezes in midair. So now there's reports of temporal distortions all over the ship, and mainly in Deck 4, Section 39. And the doctor says that there's been 30, that explains like 37 cases of this nausea and sickness and stuff. And he is called to, and then we see Chakotay enter. I'm getting ahead of myself. That's why I stopped myself there. We're live. That's how you know it's live. Chakotay enters Janeway's ready room, and he's talking about these temporal distortions all over the ship, and how people are replicating food, and it spoils immediately. She talks about her coffee that she had just replicated is already gone bad, or already, doesn't taste as good, or whatever. I need a thesaurus. And then Chakotay what today on streaming we would call roboting, where you kind of if you know what I mean. And so she says that there's a temporal problem inside the ready room. So he recommends evacuating those areas of the ship that have been affected. And they find, B'Elanna says we have some kind of, so she finds, she says it's some kind of device. And then we see two people being on board. And Seven is looking at this device as well. But she can see it because her ocular implants Borg implants allow her to see, out of phase things. B'Elanna can't see it. And this is the Seven that hasn't time traveled yet. There's a little bit of, even Janeway gets confused in this episode. And as we know, Miles O'Brien doesn't like time travel at all. So two people being aboard, and they're from the relativity. One of them is the lieutenant, and the other is, we don't get his name, but there's another guy. And Janeway says that she sees these readings as the same readings that she saw in dry dock years earlier. And she says it's the same readings, same location. So she remembers from when they were in dry dock and found those readings. Then these temporal things are like blowing up or destroying the ship. So she orders an abandoned ship, and then they begin to abandon ship, and the ship blows up. But before it blows up, they take Seven and beam her out of there. So the plan is to start over and beam her up as the explosion happens, so that nobody would notice. So they explain to her about the ocular implant, and that she's asking, why take me? And they explain about the ocular implant. They explain that she's already part of the crew, so she would be less likely to be to arouse a suspicion. They don't have a suspect yet, and from what they can tell, this device was planted on board the ship 2 years before she joined the crew. So then she's being questioned about paradoxes and tested her knowledge of, like, now I'm roboting and that's not even the computer, it's me. I have glitches in my brain. She's being tested about her knowledge of, like, paradoxes, and tries to explain them, like time loops. She explained one of them is First Contact, where the time traveler goes back in time and to prevent something from happening, but it causes something that they were trying to prevent from happening. So First Contact, the Borg goes back in time to try to stop humanity from gaining warp travel, but the Enterprise went back in time to help Cochrane with the Phoenix flight, and thus the path of humanity goes towards the Federation. So, and he says, in a sense, the Federation, or the Borg, created the Federation. So those kind of paradoxes. There's another one. There was one, like I said, a time loop, like that episode of TNG where the Kelsey Grammer, the Bozeman, is causing the Enterprise to blow up, and so they figure that out. That would be one of them. So they find the weapon, but the weapon is out of phase. And what's his name? Braxton is telling, before Janeway, or before Seven is sent back to Voyager, beware of the Janeway factor, because several times she has caused problems and sticks her nose in business where she doesn't belong. And he, as referenced earlier, he was sent back to the 21st century, and there was an episode where they go back in time to like 1996 or whatever, or no, that's a different, there's so many time travel episodes. Okay, there's one where they do go back to 1996. Wait, maybe I'm thinking of the same episode, because it's a two-parter, and he crashed, and what's his name, like Ed, what's the actor's name? I don't remember. He steals the technology. Basically, Voyager caused the problem in the first place, but they did, but they didn't. Again, this time travel stuff is confusing, or can be confusing. But Braxton was there, and he tried to warn them about the future and all this stuff, and she didn't listen to him. And anyway, she's been a problem. We know from the More Tribbles and Tribulations, is that the Deep Space Nine episode where they go back in time, that Kirk, these are, so I don't know, those are different people, I think, than these guys. But Kirk caused a lot of problems that they didn't like. But he also went back in time and brought whales, so, all is forgiven, I guess. So, anyway, he doesn't want Janeway involved in all this. And he had to deal with like 3 decades of rehabilitation before he was allowed back onto the time cops. They would just call them time cops. Temporal investigations, that's the one See, my brain is glitching. Temporal Investigations is the one on Deep Space Nine. But I don't think these are the same guys. And don't get me started on how the guy in this episode was in Picard Season 2, and they could have made him the same guy, and they didn't, so that was a missed opportunity. The show wouldn't be the show it is without bitching about Kurtzman Trek. Speaking of Kurtzman Trek, we just had another gimmick episode where. Have you seen Casablanca? You've seen the episode. Mainly ripped off Casablanca, which I've never seen, but that's what people are seeing, and I've been shown the scene that they ripped off. So yeah, they keep refusing to do Star Trek, even though we know that we've seen them do Star Trek in the past, and when they actually try to do Star Trek, it's not too bad. But every episode this season of Strange New Gimmicks is a gimmick episode. We had the first episode of Jurassic Park. Second episode was Event Horizon. Third episode was Dude, Where's My Shuttlecraft? And then this episode was Casablanca. Anyway, rant over. So, she has to be sent back to like a time where the Kazon were attacking the ship. Whoever is the saboteur is not responsible for this, but they beamed in at a time when the shields were down. And that's how they were able to get in and plant this weapon. So, the ship is under attack, Seven beams in, and again, they detect this chronoton flux, which, again, Janeway recognizes this and says it's the same readings from before in dry dock, and she wants to investigate it, same reading, same location. She wants to investigate it. Chakotay is like, are you sure you want to chase Sensor Ghost? And she says, I don't think this is the Kazon, and I don't think this is Sensor Ghost. So she puts up force fields again on Deck 4, Section 39, and this time Seven is caught. And Tuvok is doing readings, and they detect Borg implants or Borg signatures, metallic implants with Borg signatures. She says that she's not a Borg. Janeway is asking questions. Braxton is monitoring the situation, but there's interference because of the force fields. They can't talk to her through the communicator, so he's telling her to not say anything, but she can't hear him. And she's doing her best to not answer questions, but Janeway keeps asking more questions and wants to know what's going on with her ship. So she finally spills the beans and tells her that she's from a different time. She used to be Borg, and that Janeway rehabilitated her, or de-Borgified her, as I call it. Got her out of the collective, and tells her one of the things that she told her was to be human is to learn how to trust, and I'm asking you to trust me. So they lower the force field, and they find the saboteur, and the saboteur is Braxton. But it's a future Braxton who is basically hell-bent on revenge against Janeway, and he thinks that if he blows up Voyager and gets Voyager out of the timeline, that Janeway will no longer be able to meddle with things, and he's basically gone psycho, temporal psychosis, which they had warned Seven that time traveling multiple times like this can cause that. And it also causes the nausea and the dizziness and things like that. He says that he has that he's had to fix 3 different violations caused by Janeway. And so on board the Relativity, this lieutenant arrests the other Braxton and relieves him of his duty. So he arrests him for future crimes, basically. So it's like Minority Report, sort of. So then Braxton beams away, and now he's back on at the beginning where they were on the shipyard, the dry dock. And they chase him. Then he beams away again, and now we're back to the ping pong tournament. And Seven, the 1-7 that's playing ping pong is there at the tournament. The other 7 is chasing after Braxton. But she's suffering from this this sickness, and shoots the tricorder that he uses to beam through time out of his hand and destroys it, but he gets away. So now Seven has a conversation with Seven. This is going to sound weird. Seven tells Seven, the injured Seven, tells Ping Pong 7 to go after him, to stop him. And she cannot go any further. They beam her back onto the Relativity. So now Ping Pong 7, 24... Ping Pong 7 is now after her. To which 7 says to the lieutenant guy, 7 is very efficient and will catch him. But now that he doesn't have the tricorder, he's trapped on that current timeline. So then they put up another force field again, and this time Janeway is tracking the chronoton particles, and it's Braxton. She recognizes him. So now he's caught and is taken aboard the Relativity. And then Janeway is beamed aboard the Relativity with the other 7 that they beamed that was injured. And basically, because 7 ran into people and tripped over people and different things, caused different incursions, so somebody has to clean up the timeline, and they want this Janeway to go back in time to stop Braxton, the other Braxton, the one that they have in custody, in exchange for leniency, has told them where to find him. So she goes back to this Kazon battle, and Torres runs into her, and of course she has a different haircut. Like, remember in season 1 she had her hair up all in a bun, and now she has like a little bob, or kind of. So I'm surprised that Torres didn't recognize that, but whatever. So then they beam back to the Relativity, and they're basically, this guy is explaining how they're going to integrate everybody back together He sees no reason to get rid of her memory, but tells her that Voyager does show up a lot of times, and to try to stay away from time travel. And then we get what I think, Michelle, is the best quote. Is as they're about to beam away, Janeway says to Seven, "I'll see you in the 24th century." And Seven says, "I look forward to it. Or should I say, I look backward." And Janeway says, "Don't get me started." Because she's all confused about all this timeline wobbly, dobbly shit, too. So, I hope I didn't confuse you. If I did, I apologize. So I gave it a 7 out of 10. It's a 7 out of 10. Get it? I'm a sucker for time travel episodes. This one, whenever I have done like a full rewatch of Voyager, this one is one that I definitely look forward to. Sometimes I seek it out. I've done that in the past. There's not much else to say. What are you going to say about it? I mean, it's a time travel episode, and it gets confusing sometimes. And especially when you're trying to read from your notes and retell it. Like, if I was telling this, if I was telling this to somebody who had never watched Star Trek again, or before, and they're like, "Tell me about this episode, Relativity," it probably would confuse the shit out of them. Some of them, the time episode or time travel episodes are a little more straightforward. But in this one, you have Seven talking to Seven, and trying to explain that conversation was not easy. I probably should have rehearsed that. But fuck it, we'll do it live. Fun episode. And, it's funny because in the first episode of this season of Strange New Worlds, they go back in time to the 65 million years, and Mars is in a different place, and there's a planet where the asteroid belt should be, and they're at war with this planet. And basically, Pike has to allow. They still some antimatter. The Martians still antimatter from Enterprise, and they're about to stop them. But then Pike realizes that there is no fourth planet there. So he has to allow them to destroy this planet. And it's a small amount of antimatter, which I don't know how that would destroy a whole planet. There's a whole other problems with this episode, but that destruction of that planet causes the asteroid belt to form, and is the asteroid that hits Earth and kills the dinosaurs. Therefore, Enterprise is responsible for the creation of humanity. So that's how loopy and weird time travel episodes can be. Just like the Borg is, in a way, responsible for the Federation. The dilemma being, we just killed billions of sentient beings. Oopsie. Anyway, let's see what's being said. Oh, and by the way, I finally figured out how to have a guest on this stream. So if somebody wanted to come on, we can try to pick a an episode, whatever day, and do it. No quotes tonight from Michelle Fairy Tales. She said she had thunderstorms and rain to do. Now the smoke is gone. Good. It's been raining a lot here lately. No quotes tonight. I'm putting up a dog crate right now for my dog Persephone. I don't know what that is. Dog Persephone? Where's Gavin Unit? I don't know. I put out, see, here's how good I am. I put out a message on X about that I'm doing the show tonight, and then in case there's, I don't know, somebody on X that's following me, which I have like 3 or 4 people maybe, because I just started X, fairly recently, and I put out a notice that I'm doing this episode, and then forgot to put a link to the channel in case somebody new wanted to come along. So that's and usually when I do that, when I do put out a link, Gavin will repost it in hopes that somebody new comes along. Yeah, Gavin Unit, I see him. He's alright. He's fine. I saw him, I believe it was a night or 2 ago in somebody's stream. He's usually in like Doomcock's stream or somebody that's talking about Star Trek, things like that. I see him all the time. DJ Planet's got a lot of rain. It's been hot and humid. We're back in it. We had a temporary break and now we're back in it again. Persephone is the name of the cat? Is that what I'm getting? Or the dog, I'm sorry. I have a cat. I call her Cat, but her name is Jadzia. But I don't call her that because she doesn't respond to it. She just responds to Cat. We have a saying, and she found a quote. We have a saying in our line of work: there is no time like the past. That's a good one, yeah. Braxton to 7 and 9. 7 out of 10. You think it should be higher? And Michelle liked my quote. And congratulations on figuring out how to put, yeah. I can do it. It's just like I'm when computers, started coming in, we had computers in like, I don't know, 3rd grade or whatever, like little Macintosh, But I never really was good at them, and I never really liked them. I only liked playing Oregon Trail. But you had to, the reward, like Oregon Trail was a reward for being good in your math class. So, and I've never been good at math either. I'm good at history. That's what I studied in college. That's what I know was always good at. I was sort of a natural at history. So I never really liked computers, never really liked social media. But unfortunately, X is a really good way to advertise and socialize among people and stuff. So I'm trying it now to try to promote the channel a little more and try to get a little name recognition out there. because there are YouTubers out there that I do, like Price of Reason. I've talked about Admiral Teague, and I know that they will help promote my stuff, you know. Just and then they have followers, and and their followers will find me, and blah 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 blah. So I've never really been good with computers and stuff. So whenever I do try to investigate it and work on it, it takes time, but I slowly but surely learn how to do things. A lot of times I forget because I do this on my days off, so most of the time I'm just watching stuff on YouTube or watching reruns of different shows and stuff. So, and then I have all these things that I need to do or want to do, and then I forget to do them. Well, and if you want to co-host, I think what we should do, I'll be back tomorrow, and then my schedule is back to normal starting Thursday. So what we should do is pick a time, one of the Wednesday or Thursday that I come on. We both watch the episode. I watched the episode the day of, like about an hour before I come on. Usually around 6:30, and then so it's fresh in my head and stuff. I take my notes as I'm watching, and then I just think about what do I want to say about this episode. Did it make me think of anything? That it was it thought provoking? And it depends. An episode like this, there's not much to it. It's just a time travel episode. It's a fun episode. You can bring up quotes, different stuff like that. So I think if you wanted to come on, Michelle, you would basically be in charge of the quotes. I would be go over Admiral Teague does the same thing. Do a quick synopsis. Mine's not so quick because I ramble and stuff like that, but I have basically a script, notes. Most people have notes. They don't set them. Maybe they don't read them like I do, but they have them. We talk about the episode. We give a rank, give a score. If you don't want to score, some people don't like scoring things. I like to. Most of them are going to be somewhere in the middle. But if there's a banger like City on the Edge of Forever or something like that, you're going to give it a higher score. And if there's a really crappy one like Move Along Home, you're going to give a really low score. Most of them are going to be somewhere in the middle. So I think once I get back into my normal routine, we can find a day to do that. I'll be happy to bring just about anyone on. I don't have a huge audience. I'm trying to grow it. We'll see. We're into year 2, so here we go. Laughing at the 7-9 pun. The 7 out of 10. Persephone, that's the goddess of spring, and she is married to Hades. Oh, I said I was studied history, but I did not study the classical. I studied American antebellum history. And Michelle has 3 dogs and 3 cats. I have 1 cat, and 1 cat is enough because this cat wants constant attention. She can be annoying sometimes, but she is also, kind of keeps me comfortable or company. You have died of dysentery. Yeah, I've seen that shirt out there. I thought about getting that. I think, I think I saw it at Walmart or something. I call her Seffi as a nickname instead of Persephone all the time. I do love the name a lot. One of my sons is into Greek mythology. Um, I mean, I've always enjoyed the not. My knowledge of Greek mythology comes from Star Trek, basically, and we did study the Odyssey in school. Um, and I don't want to get started on that argument about Christopher Nolan's Odyssey. I liked it for what it was. Yes, it's got problems. Yes, it's miscast. Okay. Do we have to talk about it for a whole month? DJ Play Nice, if you want an engineer producer, I volunteer. I can really do Saturdays as. Can't really do Saturdays as the show I've done for a long time starts at 8 o'clock Central, like 15 minutes from now, but Thursdays would rock. Okay, well, let's put it together a team and let's do it. I guess, it's just going to be my little. It's going to be the Just Us League. And we'll just keep going. And I'll just keep putting stuff out on X and try to remember to put the link in. And maybe we can build an audience. Maybe tonight I'll throw in some money for a super chat towards Admiral Teague and tell him to promote my show again or something. I mean, he's already promoted it quite a few times. One time just for free. Oh. Alright, so let's get to what I think is my favorite part. Is speaking of gods, what do the gods want me to watch next? So let's press the randomize button. TOS, Conscience of the King. I think I already did that. Yes, I've already done it. I distinctly remember talking about that. So, randomize again. Enterprise. Speaking of the Borg and going back in time, Regeneration. Season 2, 23. I think I already did that too, did I not? Yes, I've already done that. Well, you can tell that the show is working as intended. We are getting to the point where I've done enough episodes now that we're repeating. Eventually it's going to get to the point where I'm going to have to press this randomizer button like 700 times until we get down to the last one. But hopefully by then I'll know what the last one will be anyway. You would think a process of elimination, right? So let's press it again. TNG, Season 4, Episode 4, Suddenly Human. I believe that's new. I believe that's one I have not done. Four. Clues. No, I haven't. No Voyager, no. Thunder. So I'll be back tomorrow for Season 4, Episode 4 of TNG, Suddenly Human. Same Trek time, same Trek channel. And then there will be no Wednesday show, but there will be a Thursday show. And then I'll let you know. From then, we should be back to normal. Summer's over. Woohoo! Thank God. I'm ready for fall. As soon as 4th of July hits, I'm like, bring on September. Can we just wake me up when September ends? Alright. So, thank you, DJ Play Nice and Michelle Fairy Tales, for coming out. Thank you for all the lurkers that are out there. If you're out there, anybody that watches this show in the future, which I know you do because I see the views, I know you're out there. And I sometimes I rewatch this just to see how I did or how I sounded. But anyway, I've already said I don't want to edit. I don't want to make videos. I just want to go live and be me. So I will be back again, like I said, tomorrow night, same time.